let's start with your verse. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. All right, we're going to start with 2 Corinthians 9, 6, and 7. Are you ready? 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 7. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 7. 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 7. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 7. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. All right, it's your turn. Ready? 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 7. Did you get it? I hope you did. Let's go to page 287, the books of the Old Testament. Ready? Let us sing the books of Moses, of Moses, of Moses. Let us sing the books of Moses, for he wrote the law. First Genesis, second Exodus, third Leviticus, fourth Numbers, and the fifth is Deuteronomy, the last of them all. Let us sing the books of history, of history, of history. Let us sing the books of history which tell of the Jews. There's Joshua and Judges and the story of Ruth, and First and Second Samuel, and First and Second Kings, then First and Second Chronicles, which give us the records. Then Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther the queen. Let us sing the books of poetry, of poetry, of poetry. Let us sing the books of poetry, the songs the Jews sang. Job the patient, Psalms of David, the Proverbs of a wise one, and then Ecclesiastes and Song of Solomon. Let us sing the major prophets, major prophets, major prophets. Let us sing the major prophets, the greatest of them all. Isaiah, Jeremiah, who wrote Lamentations, and Ezekiel and Daniel, who were true to their God. Let us sing the minor prophets, minor prophets, minor prophets. Let us sing the minor prophets. There are 12 of them all. Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. Ooh. All right, we're going to get into our Bible lesson today. Make me willing. But before we do, I have a question for you. From our verse about giving, should we be embarrassed if we can't give as much as someone else can? No, absolutely not. Our giving should be between God and us, and we don't need to let others know how much we're giving or find out how much we're giving. But should we be proud if we give more than someone else does? No, because if God has blessed us, we should thank him for his blessings, but we shouldn't be boastful or proud that we're giving more. Marcus swept the last step of the porch and leaned the broom against the wall. Is there anything else I can do for you, Mr. Mills? He asked. Mr. Mills hobbled over to a porch chair and sat down. You've been a good worker, Marcus, he said. It would have taken me 3 times as long as you to pull all those weeds from my garden. Here's something for all your help today. He handed Marcus a $10 bill. Wow, thanks, Mr. Mills. Thank you, young man. You've been a big help. See you at church tomorrow? Sure thing. See you then. $10, Marcus thought. He ran almost the whole way home. Wait till I tell Dad, he thought. I won't have to borrow any more from him. I'm a working man now. Dad was in the garage when Marcus got home. He waved the $10 bill in front of him. Dad smiled. That's great, son. I'm proud of you. You must have worked hard this morning. What are you going to do with it? Well, it's not enough to buy anything I want, so I'm going to add it to my savings. But do you think, even though it's only $10, I should give some of it to God? Dad looked thoughtful. Well, maybe you should ask God how much he thinks you should give, he said. I know I ought to give him at least $1, said Marcus. Our Sunday school teacher said a tithe is 1/10. But how will I know if God wants me to give more? Dad put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Why don't you tell the Lord that you know he already owns all of it, but you'd like to give a bit more, and ask him to help you to know how much? Marcus asked his mother to change his $10 bill for 10 ones. He went to the church the next morning with all the money in his pocket. Lord, he prayed in the car, make me willing to give however much you want me to give. In Sunday school, Marcus's teacher read from Mark 12:44 about the poor widow who gave all she had as an offering. All that she had, Marcus thought. Wow, I know she didn't have much, but that's all you have, it's a lot. Marcus's teacher explained that we don't have to give all of our money away, but that we should understand that it all belongs to God. Marcus prayed and asked God how much he should give. As Marcus left the Sunday school room and went to the church service, he kept thinking about what Jesus said about that woman. When it came time for the offering plates to be passed, Marcus reached into his pocket. He was so glad he was giving more than his tithe this morning. God had blessed him, and he wanted to give back to God. He took part of the money he earned and put it in the plate as he passed. He was pleased, as he thought that he wasn't giving it just to the church, but to the Lord. That night after the evening service, Marcus felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned around and looked up to see Mr. Connors. Good evening, Marcus. Mr. Mills tells me you did some good work for him in his garden yesterday, Mr. Connors said. Marcus was surprised. He wasn't quite sure what to say. I could use some help myself, Mr. Connors said. Could you come tomorrow after school? Marcus looked up at his mother. She nodded. Sure, Marcus said. Well, that settles it then, Mr. Connors said. He leaned forward and lowered his voice to a whisper. And since I know you're such a hard worker, I'll be sure to pay you what you deserve. Good help is hard to find. See you tomorrow. Wow, Mom, Marcus whispered as he watched Mr. Connors walk away. Yesterday I got some money. Today I gave some of it to God. And tomorrow I'll earn some more. And that's exactly how it should be. You know how our water cycle, the water cycle goes over and over and over? That's how our giving should be. God gives to us, we give back to God. God gives to us, we give back to God. Just a constant flow. I want you to go to page 235 of your book. Work text 235. The church's one foundation. They want to know what some of these words mean. Do you know what victorious means? And the church victorious shall be the church at last. Victorious is E, being the winner, and I'm sure you knew that one. What about consummation? This is achievement or fulfillment, B. What about a tumult? Tumult. Tumult is a commotion or a disturbance. Tribulation. I think you might know what tribulation is. That is C, a great suffering or trial. And glorious is A, having great beauty or splendor. Who will make the church victorious and give peace at last? It is Jesus. What is the glorious sight the church awaits for and longs to see? That is also Jesus. We're waiting for Jesus' return. Go to page 236. Okay, so 2 Corinthians 9:6-7. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. Every man, according as he purposeth in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loveth a cheerful giver. So, read the information below and answer the questions. Crop yield is the amount of harvest compared to the amount of planting. A farmer uses a planter or a seed drill that can plant several rows or seeds at a time. A gardener plants a few seeds by hand. Who's going to harvest more? The farmer or the gardener? It's going to be the farmer, yes. Who will harvest more? The farmer. God had Paul write about crop yield to illustrate a lesson on giving. One who gives generously will be blessed generously. One who gives sparingly will receive a smaller crop of blessings. Whatever a person decides in his heart to give, he should give cheerfully. All right, Alexis received $20 from her grandparents. She gave $5 as her offering, but she was sorry later when she wanted a game that cost $17.95. She kept thinking that the tithe on $20 is only $2, and that this amount would have been enough. Foster's grandparents gave him $10. He gave more than a tithe, $2 to his church, and he also gave another $2 to missions offering. He was very glad every time he thought about how he helped the Lord's work. Who harvested more? It was Foster, because Foster had a cheerful heart. And it says, "For the Lord loveth a cheerful giver." So think about that today. When you're giving in the offering, don't give with the attitude of, "Ugh, I have to give." But wow, God gave me all of this. I can give back to him. And that's our lesson for today. I'll see you next time.